Welcome, readers. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's K-12 Summer Author Talk series brought to you by the Library Speakers Consortium. The Library Speakers Consortium is a partnership of more than 500 library systems across the United States, Canada, and New Zealand with the goal of making author talks more accessible to communities of all sizes. I am your host, Jasmine Castillo, and today we have the author of this amazing book, Otter, a perfect addition to your summer reading list. Let's welcome Katherine Applegate.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here, especially because we are going to be talking about otters, and they are the most amazing animals on the planet.
I have truly fallen in love with them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thank you so much for joining us, Katherine. And I know everyone is excited to get started, but before we begin, let me pause to remind you that you may submit questions during the talk by clicking the questions button below this stream video. Keep in mind, there are a lot of you tuning in today, so we will get to as many questions as possible. We will also have a read along with the author today, so if you have a copy of the book handy, keep it close by. Katherine, let's get started. Can you tell us a little summary of Otter?
Well, the most important thing to know about Otter is that her name is Odder, and that is not a misspelling. She is kind of wacky. She is wildly energetic. She's think of the most like physically adept athlete you can think of. Somebody who's just like over the top. Amazing. And then triple that and you have Otter. She is so wonderful in the water. And if you ever get to see an actual otter, say at an aquarium or online, you will not believe how they move through the water. It's like a ballet dancer. It's absolutely gorgeous to watch. And Otter is a little bit prone to taking risks and going a little bit farther than she should and doing things she shouldn't. And one day she goes out a little too far into the water with her best friend, Kyrie, and she runs into a great white shark. Great white sharks are actually a bit of a problem for otters in the part of the world she lives in, which is Monterey Bay, California. And I'm not giving too much away to say that she is really severely injured and things change a lot. But along the way, she ends up being cared for by some absolutely remarkable human beings. And it's a story that's deeply based on a couple true stories. I tried to keep it as close to the truth as I could, which I think is part of the fun of reading it.
It is a really fun read, friends. And I love that it is told from the otter's perspective. Mm-hmm. And Katherine, you are no stranger to writing from different points of view. We all know and love the one and only Ivan. But many of our viewers were wondering how you became interested in otters. Where did the inspiration come from?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was younger, I was absolutely sure in elementary school and high school that I was going to be a vet when I grew up, an animal doctor. And I even worked for a veterinarian in high school. And I helped in surgery and I gave shots. I did all kinds of things, but mostly I picked up a lot of poop and I gave cats a lot of baths. And I realized I was really interested more, not so much in the body part, but in the mental part. What were they thinking? How were they viewing the world? And that's kind of what led me down the path of writing about animals from their perspectives. And of course, it's a big leap because, look at your dog. Then the next time you're having a conversation with your dog or your cat, do you really know what they're thinking? Except for please feed me? No. And that's why I think it's so fascinating because there's this big gap between us and they're such fascinating creatures.
How did you find out about otters in particular?
Well, of course, they're incredibly cute. Let's get that out of the way. It's hard to resist an otter, and especially a baby otter. Baby otters are so funny. When they're tiny, they have the densest fur on the planet, otters. And it's one of the reasons we don't have as many anymore because humans thought, wow, that would make a great coat. So when baby otters are floating along with their mom, if they fall off and end up in the water, they just float away like beach balls. They are incredibly buoyant when they're young. I mean, they really can't sink. And so the mom has to tie them up with something called kelp, which is kind of it's seaweed basically. It's an aquatic plant, while she goes off and hunts. And mom does all the work in Otter World. I hate to say it, but the dads are really deadbeats. So so the more I learned about them, the more fascinated I became.
Well, you do mention in the author's note in the back of the book that the otter story that you tell in the book is sort of true. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you used facts and created a fiction story?
Oh, I love doing research. And if you are interested in something and you want to write a story, research is such a great way to get your hands around what's going to happen in the story. So, yes, I did tons of research, and I went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium repeatedly, and I watched lots of videos, and I went to the place where they live called Elkhorn Slough, and I went along in a boat, and I could see them floating along and having a good time. So that was one way I did research. I learned a lot about their biology and hopefully how they perceive the world. And then when I was done writing it, I actually had two of the biologists from Monterey Bay Aquarium who worked in the program. They call it their surrogacy program. I guess we should talk about that a little bit. And they vetted it. They read the manuscript. So that helped me figure out just how otters might perceive the world. But of course, we're guessing, we're never quite sure.
Well, we do have a picture of one of the otters that you used to inspire you for the story. Her
Oh,
name is
yes.
Selka. Can we show her?
Isn't she adorable?
Oh my gosh.
And Selka and Joy were the two otters on whom Otter is based. And they had different stories. And the reason I combined them into one was because I wanted to show kids as much as I could about this fascinating lives they lead. So one of them was found stranded and spent some time very early on in this program where they were trying to take these little baby otters who would show up and be given to the aquarium. Often they were orphans. Sometimes the moms were sick or they've been attacked by sharks. And they'd have these baby otters and they wanted to teach them how to be otters. Well, humans don't know how to be otters. And so in the case of these poor gals, they went back out into the wild. And I think it was Selka in particular who just could not stay away from humans. The kind of jumping on kayaks and going to say hi and having a great time. And they finally had to declare her non-releasable because she was just having too much contact with humans. The other otter, Joy, had been released after spending some time and then was attacked by a shark. Almost, I think, within a few weeks of having been released. So I combined those two stories because I wanted to show that whole cycle. But the best part of this program is this thing where they get otters who can't go out in the wild anymore to raise orphans. I call it the foster mom program, but it's called a surrogacy program. And they teach these otters all the things that we humans don't know how to do. I mean, we don't really know how to dive to the bottom of the ocean like an otter.
Well, what great work they're doing. And I learned a lot about otters in reading your book. And Raquel from Ocean County Library, along with many other viewers, are curious, how did you start your research on otters?
Oh, I always start with deep reading. And if you are interested in a subject, that is why we have libraries. And by the way, that's why we have our amazing librarians. If there's a topic you're interested in, you go to your librarian and she or he, they will find you so much information. You'll be overwhelmed. So I love that part. I love reading and looking at videos and looking at images and kind of getting a grasp for it. But then there's nothing that replaces going and seeing the actual otters. When I wrote The One and Only Ivan, I wasn't actually able to meet Ivan, but I spent a lot of time where he lived at Zoo Atlanta with his keeper, Jody Kerrigan, and I saw the baby Western lowland gorillas. I went up to Tacoma, Washington to see where Ivan had stayed in that awful mall. And so that kind of research is really fun.
Now, Allison and Darcy want to know, since you've done so much otter research, what is your favorite otter fact?
Oh, there are so many. But this one is just so adorable. They have favorite rocks. And the reason they have favorite rocks is because an otter floats on we're talking about sea otters now, not river otters. They spend almost all their time in the ocean, and after they get, say, a nice little shellfish they want to open, they put it on their tummy, and they use their tummy like a table, and then they take their favorite rock and they pound it, use it like a tool to open. But they don't just toss the rock aside, because they have these little pockets on this, it's kind of below their armpits, sort of on their sides. And I swear to you, it looks exactly like a pocket on a jacket. And they just stick their rock right in there and keep it with them all the time. I just thought that was so cute.
That
and
is
also
adorable.
Very practical.
That's very useful. A little purse.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I have quickly learned to love sweet sea otters, and the Monterey Bay Aquarium has 5 reasons why they love sea otters. Let's watch.
Number 5, they're so fluffy. Number 4, they spin. Whee! Number 3, look at the little paws. Number 2, sea otters are vital for healthy ecosystems. Like wolves in Yellowstone, sea otters along the coast are a keystone species. By eating things like sea urchins and crabs, they control prey populations and keep kelp forests and eelgrass beds in balance. These ecosystem engineers shape habitats, fostering biodiversity, contributing to nutrient cycling, and bolstering ecotourism. Only 100 years ago, we thought sea otters had gone extinct in California, but now they're slowly recovering, and nearly 3,000 can be found along our coast today. In places where sea otters are thriving, they even strengthen our natural defenses against the worst impacts of climate change. By protecting these endangered animals, we also protect our coasts and the people and animals who rely on these ecosystems to thrive. And number 1, the babies.
When I do school visits, I play a clip like that, and then I have all the kids do their best otter squee, and it's quite impressive. I think everybody in the libraries around the country and the world should be squeeing right now. It's like a kind of, it's very cute.
I can almost hear them, Catherine. Now, the Monterey Bay Aquarium has many more facts and videos for everyone to check out if they are interested in learning more. And they have other sea creatures besides sea otters, so be sure to check it out. Now, Dorothy from Northville, and you've already answered this for us. She asked if you've ever been to the aquarium, but did you go to the aquarium before you wrote the book or after?
Oh, I went before, and I had been just a casual visitor. And that, of course, is when I started to fall in love with otters. It's a beautiful aquarium, and there are several, they're all over the world, obviously. I've been to a few in the United States. And if you haven't ever had the chance to go to one, and you do get the chance, you will be just amazed, because you're like this close to, a great white shark looking you in the face. And you get to, a lot of times you'll be able to touch some of the aquatic animals, and it's just just sitting there for half an hour and watching otters will change your life. You will be so much more mellow, I guarantee it.
Well, I was actually able to visit them this morning, Catherine, because they have an otter live cam. And I wanted to see if we can see some otters right now. Do you want to join me in going? Let's see. Oh, there they are.
Oh, look. They have so many toys. They love, love, love their toys.
I saw one yesterday try to break a brick on the wall. It was so cute because it was foam.
They're just like toddlers, they just, any excuse to play. And they're very generous with each other. It's not like they're fighting over their toys much. They're just, they're just having a good time.
They're so cute. Now, readers, we are providing you with a handout with a QR code to visit the live cam from wherever you are. And you can draw what you see. I wonder if we can show them the handout real quick.
Oh, what a great idea. I love that.
Maybe not. Okay. Well, the handout, the link will be there below this video, friends. Okay. Now, I can watch otters play all day, but we must move on. Sylvia from Danbury Library wants to know if you have a favorite part of the book.
Oh my, that's always a hard question for a writer because of course we love all of it. But my favorite part has got to be the very end because I would call it a bittersweet ending, but it's really gratifying and it makes you so happy. And it was very much based on what really happens to these otters who are rescued, often, on the verge of death, and this amazing place transforms their lives. And it's a real tribute to the Monterey Bay Aquarium and to others all over, but especially their work in Southern California. I don't know if you could hear in that fact number 2 when things went by very fast, but there are up to 3,000 or so otters in that immediate area. And that is largely because of the work of the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And a lot of it is this, taking one baby otter at a time when they're orphaned and raising them and getting them back out there into the world. It's really, really important work.
What a great organization. Now, would you read us a little part of your book?
Oh, that would be fun. Well, I have to set this up because we are talking about a moment, pretty early on in the story. And I remember I told you Otter is kind of a troublemaker. She's going way out, probably where she should be, especially given there are a lot of great white sharks around. And one of the interesting things about this being a problem for otters is that probably because of climate change, we know that the temperature of the water is changing, and it's changing the ecology of the kelp forest in that area. And one of the things that's happening is they're getting more adolescent great white sharks coming in closer. And these guys, when they're first learning how to hunt, don't always know what they're doing. And they love to eat blubber. Well, otters don't have any blubber. They are nothing but incredibly dense fur. That's how they can survive in this cold water. So this particular shark is very, very hungry. And he's been looking for something to eat. And he sees these shadows above him. And he's thinking, might be some seal blubber. Well, this isn't, from the seal's point of view, a great idea. But sometimes they don't end up biting seals. They end up biting surfers or surfboards. And all too often they end up biting otters. So our friend Otter is out there with her friend Kyrie, and they are swimming along. And this shark has smelled and gotten a little bit of a sighting. The intriguing scent becomes something more for the shark. There they are above him on the surface. Long, dark silhouettes with webbed feet and muscular tails. He's glimpsed some before, but never this close. They are sinuous, but not eel sleek. They don't shimmer in the way of a mackerel or a ray. Wouldn't sea lions be bigger than this? Maybe they are young sea lions, babies even. They move surprisingly well with a certain elegance, but they're no match for him. One is slower, and that will be his target. No reason to expend extra energy. Although, what a feast 2 would make. He feels the sharp complaint of hunger and presses on. The fin. Just a little farther, Otter says, as the beguiling wild song of the bay calls to her. Kyrie is right beside her. Please, Otter, she says, let's go back. And Otter hears her fear. We've gone too far. The sun sparks the waves as the wind picks up, and then Otter sees it, and her heart lurches, gliding, glimmering, almost beautiful. The dorsal fin of a great white shark. Speed. A few thrusts of the shark's powerful tail, and he'll have them. Easy as that. Sometimes even he is shocked by his own speed. The chase. Otter lets loose a high-pitched scream, though Kyrie needs no warning. She is already churning the water, and Otter sees the terror in her friend's eyes, and both otters move like they've never moved, but he is on them already. Otter can feel him slice the surf in two. She can smell his hunger. And I'm not going to tell you what happens.
Katherine, that was so exciting. I love it. Thank you so much. Friends, you're going to have to read on to find out what happens.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing readers will notice is that this book is written in verse. And Erin wants to know, what leads you to decide if a book is written in verse?
You know, I love that. That is such a good writerly question. It sounds like you might be a writer yourself. I think free verse is, first of all, incredibly fun. So you should try it. If you've never done it, you can write. It's what it says. It's freeing. It allows you to think about words in a whole new way. And it's a little more like music. You hear how things pace themselves, how the rhythm sounds. You hear alliteration, sounds that repeat, and that kind of thing. And it's all really very fun. But I think it's important to use it for the right kind of story. I used it with a book called Home of the Brave. And that was about a kid who was from sub-Saharan Africa, a refugee. And his name was Keck, and he was learning English. So to write about how it feels to play with words when you're just learning a new language, free verse felt perfect for that. And for Otter, because it's when you look at these guys in the water, they're so fluid. It's lyrical. It's music almost. It just felt like the perfect form to kind of express what it must be like to be in the water. So in both those cases, it just felt perfect.
Oh, it was perfect. It really felt like we were in the mind of Otter. Now, friends, if you are interested in experimenting with writing in verse, we have created something for you. We have a worksheet for you to write your own free verse poem. And maybe we can pull it up here. There we go. So you answer those 7 questions, and then you'll have a free verse poem on your own. And remember, Katherine, do you ever write something and then just turn it in and you're done?
Oh, no. Writing is not really about writing. Writing is about rewriting and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. And my official author photo, really, truly, is me sitting in a giant pile of crumpled up paper, because I want kids to know when you're working on a story, of course you're going to make mistakes. And it took me a while to figure that out. When you're learning something new, remember, you're going to make tons of mistakes. I've made like 100 mistakes this morning alone. So you're gonna change things too, because stories are living things. And as you're working on them, they can surprise you. I've had characters I loved, and about halfway through, I got really tired of them and I just had to kill them off. So you just never know. And that's part of the fun.
Well, that brings us into our next question from Michelle and Rayanj, and they're wondering, what is some more advice that you can give young writers, especially those in 2nd and 3rd grade that love to write?
Oh, first of all, I love that you love to write. I'll tell you the truth, I was not much of a reader when I was young. I was didn't see the point of books until this magical teacher in 3rd grade read Charlotte's Web to our class. And I fell in love because, of course, I loved animals. But I did like writing. And I think it's just such a special way to find out more about yourself. So when you're writing stories, don't worry about your best friend. Don't worry about your big brother. Don't worry about anything except what you want to write about. When I went to write The One and Only Ivan, I threw that story away halfway through. And the reason was because I thought, nobody's going to want to read this. They're going to laugh at me. They're going to say it's silly. Don't do that. You have to write what comes from your heart. And that means it's going to be different. That's a wonderful thing about writers. We're all a little different. We look at the world differently. And that's what makes writing so special. And that's the gift you're going to give somebody when they read your story and connect with it. So just remember, have fun, but most importantly, be who you really are.
Oh, that's beautiful advice for our friends watching. Katherine, thank you. Now, before we go, Shira from Montgomery County Library and the kids and the 4th and 5th grade book club at Upper Darby Township Library are really wondering if you have any book recommendations.
Oh, gosh, I don't even know where to start. So I will stick with fun middle grade stuff. The first one is by a wonderful writer named Allie Millington. And she wrote a book a while ago called Olivetti. And it was from the point of view of a typewriter. This new book is called Once for Yes. And in it, she has a whole bunch of different points of view, but one of the points of view is, believe it or not, an old apartment building. And there's a little bit of mystery. There's a quirky family. There's it's just so much fun. So I absolutely think you'll love it. The next one is called The 10th Mistake of Hank Hooperman by Jennifer Choldenko. And I am very lucky because Jennifer and I have actually worked on a book series together called Dogtown. Jennifer, I think this is one of the best books I've ever read. It's so moving, but it's also incredibly funny. And that's why I love Jennifer. She's so funny. And it features, I think, the sweetest big brother in the history of literature. And this little sister, whose name is Boo. She's a toddler. And instead of Hooperman, she calls her brother Pooperman. And just you can take it from there. It is so adorable and so moving. And the last one is called Felix Powell, Boy Dog, by this wonderful author named Erin Entrada Kelly. And she's written all kinds of things, a lot of middle grade. But this one she illustrated. There are lots and lots of pictures, lots of illustrations. So it's a really fun read. And it's about a boy named Felix who turns into a dog. And right up my alley. I love books like that. So it's very, very funny. These are all great summer reads, I think.
Thank you for that. And of course, we can't forget Otter, the chapter book, also has a companion picture book. And Carrie from also Montgomery County Library wants to know why you chose to make a picture book of Otter.
Well, it's interesting. I do a lot of school events where they call them one school, one book, one school, or one school, one book. And the whole school or the whole district or the whole town reads the same book. It's a great idea because even if you don't like the book, and you don't have to like the book, it brings a community together and it gives you a chance to see what reading is all about. So I had a lot of people use the one and only Ivan, and there was a picture book version of that. And they were able, as a result, to have the whole school read from kindergarten all the way even up to 12th grade sometimes. And I had a librarian, as I was doing an event for Wish Tree, actually, say to me, it'd be so great if you had a picture book version of Otter. And so I went to my editor and she said, what a great idea. So this entire book is the result of the suggestion of a librarian, which tells you just how amazing librarians are.
Oh, I'm sure librarians are swooning right now. And that's a great idea too. So now you can have one book, one school instead of one book, one grade, and everyone can read the same book. That's a great idea. Now, Katherine, our final question for you comes from Jenny at Summit Library, and she wants to know, what message do you hope your book sends to young readers?
Oh, it's funny. When you write your stories, the most important thing is to think about your stories and not, am I trying to tell somebody something? That happens maybe as you write this story just naturally. But if there's anything I hope readers take away from my books, it's to think a little harder about empathy, to think a little harder about how other people are living in the world and how we can be kinder, how we can be more welcoming, how we can be more open-minded. I think that's so important right now. And that's one of the reasons we read. That's why we go to libraries. And that, again, is why we have librarians, who, by the way, are the most wonderful human beings on the planet. I have many heroes, but at the very top always come librarians, because they are on the front lines doing all the hard work to get books into the hands of the right reader. They work so hard, and they love, love, love what they're doing. I don't think I've ever met a librarian I didn't adore, which tells you.
Katherine, that's a perfect way for us to end today. Unfortunately, our time is up. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Oh, it has been an absolute joy. Thank you so much.
With that, I also want to extend a huge thank you to all of our viewers for tuning in to our author talk today. Without your support, none of this would be possible, and we thank you for choosing to spend your time with us. As a reminder, below the live stream video, you can find a link to the resources area, which contains links to the author's books and several other exciting resources. We look forward to seeing you all again for our next author talk with Raul III. Once again, I am Jasmine Castillo with the talented Katherine Applegate. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you.